On October 8, 1965, an indictment was filed in the district court charging Anthony Polisi, Salvatore Polisi, Cordero, Smith, Parks, and Zaher with the July 7, 1965 armed robbery of the Central Queens Savings and Loan Association and with conspiracy to effectuate this robbery and that of the Queens County Federal Savings and Loan Association on July 30, 1965. On January 10, 1966, the first day of trial, the four additionally mentioned defendants withdrew their prior not guilty pleas and entered pleas of guilty. In the ensuing trial, the government's case against the Polisis relied upon the testimony of three of the four confessed participants, Smith, Parks, and Zaher, who described Anthony Polisi as the mastermind of a nationwide bank robbery business. Cordero was not called as a witness against the Polisis, although he was available. On January 26, 1966, a jury found Anthony Polisi guilty of the Central Queens robbery count and found both appellants guilty of the conspiracy counts. Anthony and Salvatore Polisi were sentenced to 15 and 3-year terms respectively. The newly discovered evidence alleged in the instant case arises from a subsequent trial and conviction, which will be referred to as the Franzese trial, upon an indictment in the Eastern District of New York charging Anthony Polisi and Cordero, Smith, and Parks, together with 6 others, Franzese, Potere, Florio, Messineo, Matera, and Crabb, for the robbery of the Queens County Federal Savings and Loan Association on July 30, 1965, for which the Polisis had already been convicted of conspiracy to rob, and the robbery of the United Savings and Loan Association on August 13, 1965. Appellant Salvatore Polisi was not named in these counts. At the Franzese trial, Smith, Parks, Cordero, and Zaher again pleaded guilty and all testified for the government, this time, however, relegating the appellant Anthony Polisi to a relatively minor role in their description of the bank robbery operation, and instead testifying that the leadership belonged to Franzese, Potere, and Florio. The government's case against them rested almost entirely on the testimony of 4 confessed participants, Smith, Parks, Cordero, and Zaher, who cast defendants in the role of behind-the-scenes operators of a nationwide bank robbery business. Franzese was the general manager, Potere was the procurer and explicator of plans of the banks and took general charge of logistics. Florio assisted in these operations. What is more troubling is that 3 of the government witnesses, Smith, Parks, and Zaher, had previously depicted Anthony Polisi, owner of the Aqueduct Motor Inn in Queens, as the mastermind of the same enterprise, and had so testified in a trial in January 1966, wherein Anthony and his son Salvatore were convicted, in contrast to the testimony of Smith, Parks, and Cordero at the instant trial that Anthony's services after mid-July 1965 were in storing weapons and furnishing a meeting place. This was substantially what Cordero, who had not been called as a witness against the Polisis, had said in statements to the FBI shortly after his arrest on September 30, 1965.